What kind of information can our kinesthetic abilities and talents actually receive? What are we able to learn from this information, and how can we best utilize it in our everyday lives? All great questions. Let's get into it. Welcome back, Adepts and Initiates, to day 10 of Applied Intuition. Today we're looking at part 2 of our Kinesthetic Talents, going a little bit further into the intelligence of the body and how we can connect with that level of information. Now, as we did yesterday, we went into what's called a body scan, and this is terrific because we can actually now learn what the body has to communicate. And from there, begin to not just connect with the intelligence of our kinesthetic awareness, we can also begin to now do something with it. We talked yesterday about the absolute thresholds using muscle testing. We're going to continue on that with looking at introducing another tool of the trade, and that is going to be our pendulum. Now, if you haven't got it yet, please take a moment and pause here to grab your pendulum. We're going to start off by doing a little pendulum work today, and then go into a deeper exercise. And as we look at this, there are really two parts and pieces of our intuitive talents, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Go ahead and grab your pendulum now. All right, welcome back. So as I was mentioning, with our intuitive talents, we finished off in the introduction yesterday looking at the qualities, one being more receptive by nature, one being more projective by nature. Our physical body, our kinesthetic awareness, is by its nature of being simply more receptive, which means that we are able to receive signals more easily than project. Doesn't mean that we're not able to do both. We absolutely are. There's just a natural tendency of our kinesthetic intuitive talents to be able to receive information. So as I mentioned yesterday, when we're able to align and connect, our kinesthetic awareness is the most accurate of all of the different intuitive types. One of the reasons is it ties back to that threshold. It really does get to be very binary. Something is or it is not. Kind of in this concept of a dualistic world, in this place of oneness, the physical atomic body best embodies that concept. So that's something though that we can leverage. Now, if you've never used a pendulum before, then I'm going to introduce the concept of it. It is also tied into the concept of muscle testing. It is a great way not just to ask a yes or no question, it's also able to get specific direction. Like when I lose something in the house, right? If I misplace my keys or my wallet, one of the first things that I go to is, well, first I'll typically do muscle testing. I'll find which room it's in. And then from there, I'll use my pendulum to go ahead and find the specific location. Now, with your pendulum, all it basically is a weight at the bottom of a chain or thread. What we want to do with it is we're going to be using, I tend to use my dominant arm, and I like a little distance. The more distance you get for the hang, the more subtle it is. So I'll usually use, I don't know, maybe about 2.5 inches between the weight and my fingertips. You want to grasp it between your forefinger and your thumb. Now, how I use it, there's a number of different ways. I like to use specificity and angles, and so I'll use my arm coming in at about a 90-degree bend in my elbow. I'll raise it to just about parallel to the ground. Now I'll have my non-dominant hand beneath it, and what I like to do is I like to make it a little easier, and so I start with a swing. The direction of the swing, generally speaking, when you're asking a yes or no question, doesn't matter too much. What we are looking for is how it is that you calibrate or present in that yes or no answer. For example, when I say show me a yes, what ends up happening, because of the swing, it makes it a little bit easier. The subtlety of movement comes into play, and I have now a clockwise circle spinning. Then I reset. Show me a yes. I like to calibrate before I actually start to ask these questions, and only really, well, if we're asking questions, yes or no questions. However, if we're doing directions, that's something else entirely. Here we go again, got this going in a circle. Now, show me a no. And again, I've got my arm at about a 90-degree bend. Don't have to be very super specific. I tend to be. That's just my own process. And then as I look at it, now I see it going in a counterclockwise circle. Once again, show me a no. And then as we go through this, we're calibrating beforehand. Where I am pinching with my forefinger and thumb is relatively light. Okay, going in again in a counterclockwise circle. Now, if you do it in this technique, one of the things you'll tend to notice is that your shoulder begins to hurt after a little while. And that's okay, because it's good to go between the different questions here and there. Terrific way to ask, another way to ask yes or no questions. And in doing so allows us to have another avenue of information. When I do my intuitive investigations, for example, I'll tend to use my pendulum when asking questions, but then also in finding direction. Now, a way that you can do direction is getting into the same position. And say, for example, right, I start off with that basic swing, I'm already calibrated. Then I can ask or state, show me the direction of where the camera is. And what inevitably happens is that it begins to shift subtly, still checking, parallel to the ground, 90 degrees. And now it's probably a little difficult to see. I'll see if I can get a little closer on this with the camera. But now the swing has changed and shifted. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense from where you're looking at. However, it started off that direction swinging, and now it's swinging in this direction. And so what you'll notice when you do it like this is that with that back and forth swing, the greater the direction of the swing, like it was going forward towards the camera, implies where that direction of something is. The further back it comes, then the less associated it is with that direction. And so one of the ways that I use this, for example, when I do grid work, is being bare feet on the ground, and I look for the points where there is like a distortion of energy. And this will show me where that is, and then I'll reaffirm by walking to whatever spot I am led to, and then I'll confirm it by asking a yes or no question. So it's a really great tool and technique in finding more information, and is really very interesting because it also kind of relates to dowsing rods, how people used to find water back in the day. And dowsing rods as well, if you haven't seen those, they have a handle, they're L-shaped, and you hold it, and then they cross over different points. Now, what this is this is receiving information from the body and allowing ourselves to utilize the subtle yet profound level of information and intuition of the physical body to be able to access things that are well beyond perception. So go ahead and practice that. Make a little clip of this as well in terms of this part and piece with our pendulum. All right, welcome back. Part 2 of our kinesthetic awareness. We're focusing on that feminine piece, our capacity to receive information rather than to project. What we're going to do is go back into a comfortable position, go back into our coherence breathing, go back into our body scan, though we'll be doing it a little more differently today. And what we're going to be looking at is what it is that our physical atomic body, our kinesthetic awareness, is communicating to us now. Now, as we go through that, afterwards we're going to come out of it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about where it is that, that where our body is experiencing tension, pain, or discomfort relates to larger issues or challenges or opportunities in our lives. First and foremost, though, as we go into our body scan, what I want you to pay attention to is where it is that your body is communicating tension. And that will allow our attention to go there, all right? And so all we're going to do is just notice where the tension within our physical body is. And we're going to just simply notice it. We're going to simply observe it. We're going to witness it, remember it, after go through the entirety of our body, and then we're going to come out, and I'm going to provide some information in terms of what that feedback can mean. All right? Excuse me. For now, though, go ahead, and I invite you to get into a comfortable position. And once you're in a comfortable position, go ahead and close your eyes. And just take a moment to breathe, entering once more into our coherence breathing pattern. Basically just allowing ourselves to breathe easily, to breathe normally, to breathe naturally. And just to become aware of the sensations of breath. Notice its passage into and through your body with each and every breath in and each and every breath out. Witnessing how your body follows the lead of your breath. And just notice how your breath begins to slow. Now, set an intention quietly within inside of yourself to connect with your body, to communicate with your kinesthetic awareness, and to receive information and feedback provided by your own physicality. And so it is. Eyes still closed. Become aware of your feet, focusing upon your right foot, toes, your heel and ankle. Noticing what you notice, any tension or anything that pulls at your attention. Doing the same now for your left foot and ankle. Focus now on the length of your lower legs, your calves, your shins, and your knees. Letting your body lead the way. Just notice whether it's a pull or an awareness or a sensation that you experience with any of your body parts. Just taking notice. Storing it in your memory banks and continuing on. Now through your thighs and the length of your thighs, the bone, the muscle, the sinew, all the way up into your hips. Noticing what you notice. Attention upon any tension you may be experiencing. From your hips and pelvis now into your abdomen. Remaining curious as your body continues to communicate. Through your midsection, the length of your lower back. Become aware now of your fingertips, fingers, palms, and wrists. Focusing now upon the length of your left arm, forearm, elbow, upper arm, and shoulder. Becoming aware of any messages or feedback that your body does provide. And now the length of your right arm as well. Attention now held within your chest and back, in body and in breath. The length of your shoulders and neck. Again, just witnessing what it is that your body is experiencing. Taking note and storing it, remembering it, and then just letting it go. Become attentive now to your jaw and cheeks and brow and the entirety of your head and totality of your body. Now just taking a moment, thoroughly connected to your body, and quietly within inside of yourself, ask your body, in my highest, best interest, and for the greatest good, what do you desire to communicate to me now? In my highest, best interest and for the greatest good. What is it that you desire to communicate to me now? One last time. In my highest, best interest and for the greatest good. What is it that you desire to communicate to me now? And now let us just enter into a minute of silence, allowing the sensation, the messages, the experience to unfold for each of us here and now. Now, it is time to bring this technique to a close. Breathe out, allowing all air to expire from your lungs. Breathe in, slowly, deeply, fully holding this breath. Exhale, heavy with a sigh, allow that release. 2 more of those. Breathe in, slowly, deeply, fully holding this breath. Exhale, heavy with a sigh. 1 last one. Breathe in its entirety, filling your lungs, and hold. Exhale, heavy with a sigh, and when ready, please feel free to again open your eyes now, once more, to engage the world around you. Welcome back. How was that exercise for you? Oh, what was it that your body communicated? There's a lot that is held within our body. There is an overlay held within our fascia or connective tissue, tied to our emotional body. There's information that comes in through what's called our morphogenetic field that transfers through our body. In general, though, we are able to find out a little bit more about what's happening beneath the surface. Sometimes it's as simple as just asking our body to communicate what's going on. Other times it takes a little detective work, I think is a good way to put it. Because if we look at the body, there are certain things that are consistent. One, that the left-hand side of our body is the feminine. The right-hand side of our body is the masculine. Left-hand side being more receptive, the right-hand side being more projective. So if something is happening within a part of our body, if it's on the left-hand side, it's related to feminine flows. If it's on the right-hand side, masculine. Then, if we actually look at piece by piece and look at the functionality of our anatomy, then we can tell what some of the things are. For example, the foot and the ankle, things that we believe upon or believe and stand upon. So for example, if you're having issue with your right ankle, then there might be something about your belief about the masculine, about men. It also might be a dependency that you have on doing, on control. If you head up further, the length of the lower legs to the knees, then it's about generally mobility, but also stability. Further up, if we get into the hips, then that is movement in life. If we're having, say for example, tension in the left hip, then part of where your attention can be, feminine, mobility as well and movement, is perhaps getting stuck with things in the past, being able to fully move beyond that. Whereas on the right hand side, right hip can be a matter of our movement forward. As we start to get into the trunk and the midsection, the abdomen, the chest, and the back, this starts to get into more familial pieces. This starts to get into things related to epigenetics or our ancestral line. Things in relationship to, perhaps digestive issues, or things in relationship to our heart and emotions. As we go further out back into our extremities, into our fingertips and arms, then it's a matter of our doing, right? If you have tension within our right shoulder, then there's things that, for example, we may be forcing, or burdens we may be carrying. If we go into and through the neck, then that could be a matter, right? It moves the head, so it's a matter of perspective. And so I'll upload a PDF to the show notes later this afternoon, and so that you'll have more information on all of this, because it does have general pieces in terms of information that the physical atomic body can convey to us. And this is golden, because if we're looking at where are the areas that we're stuck, right? What are the aspects of life that I'm moving through, and where is it that I can grow from? Our physical body can tell us nearly everything, both in just the experience that we just did, also in walking movements, and as we go through larger muscle movements as well. And so one of the things that we can really ascertain in terms of our kinesthetic awareness and abilities is the information of where we have the greatest opportunity for growth, development, and our own personal evolution. That's it for now, though. Love and aloha. Take care, and ahui ho.